Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. So we're going to be focusing on Excel, which will help you in doing your SBA, the Excel aspect of your SBA. So you may see where you may have some corrections or new things to do. So as you see here, I have named my document Dashy's Boutique with my name and the 3 tables that you're required to create. So what I did in addition is to just convert it to an actual table. That's why you're seeing the first one looking different from the second one. So what I'm going to do is highlight the second table, go to insert, click on tables, and then from there you click OK, and it looks just the same as the first table. This will help us to do certain formulas and function when we move on to the next step. So we're doing the same thing for the third table. Okay, here we go, and then we click OK. Alright, so we have done all of that. So the next thing that we're going to do is to ensure that we have our salary converted to currency, because you know it's money, so you have to utilize the dollar sign. And remember, your rate is percent, so it's 12%, 7%, etc. So you're going to ensure that you have a percentage sign because you will be marked for those, so pay attention to that keenly. All right, so we are through with that and we're moving on nicely. So the next thing that you're required to do is to have a second sheet, which you will call employee data. And as you can see, I've already did some work. So for your ID numbers, it's a person's initial and 3 other numbers. And of course, ensure that you put in all the names, the categories, and you label your fields accordingly. So for your basic salary, you will be required to use a Vlookup function. Vlookup function, right? So the first one was done, and the second one I'm going to demonstrate with you. So what you do is go to the formula tab, and then you are going to look at the lookup and reference, search for Vlookup. Alright, so now you realize that we have a dialog box. We need to fill out the information accordingly. So you would need your lookup value, which we're going to look up for AM, which is admin, and then our table array, we're going to make reference to our salary table. So you're going to highlight the table. So as you can see, the information is there. And then we are going to look back to see which column that we're going to use the information from, and realize that it's the third column. So you're going to type the number 3, and then your range lookup will be false, and you will know if it's correct. You will see the results at the bottom of it, then you press OK. Alright, so now we have actually did the second one, so you know, we just simply autofill and it works out the rest. It's that easy. Alright, so you don't have to retype the function over and over again. So with that being said, we are going to move on to the next field. Alright, so we are going to move on to the deduction area. So we're going to work on the personal loan, which requires you to use cell reference. So you're basically pulling information from another table in order to find the results for the loan payment, right? So you're going to type equal, important, equal sign, F6, which is the basic salary, 8,000. You're going to refer to key sheet, and we want to know the deduction. Low deduction is 8%, so we're going to click on 8%, and then on your keyboard you are going to press F4 to lock your cell. So you're going to make it absolute, so it's called absolute referencing, right? And there you go, your result, $640. So of course, with that being said, all we do is auto fill to get the results for the other employees. So we're going on nicely. And for the health deduction, we're pretty much going to do the same thing. So we're going to have our equal F6, and we're going to times it by, we make reference to the health insurance deduction, which is 2%. And remember, on your keyboard you press F4 to lock your cell to make it absolute, and then you press enter, and there you go, the results from there. And then you autofill for the other persons as well. All right, going good. And then now we're going to move on nicely to our investment. Right, so our investment, so we want to deduct a certain amount of money for each person. So we're going to do the same thing as before. Only difference is that it's a different cell that we're working with, right? So it's equal F6 times, and of course we refer to the key sheet, and now we're going to click on 3%, which is for investment. You're going to press the F4 function key, press enter, and then now you see the results. You autofill, and then we are through with this column. All right, so we have done that. Now we need to know the total deduction for each employee, right? So of course we're going to utilize our sum function. So it's equal sum, open brackets, very important, and you highlight the cells that you want to add. Then you press enter, and of course, as you know, you autofill. Okay, so we are through with the deduction column. Moving on nicely to the allowance section. So daily allowance, travel allowance, entertainment. So for some of these allowances, only managers and assistant managers are entitled to these. So of course we are going to do something similar as before, where we're going to make reference to our key sheet. So it is F6, same basic salary, times, so remember we're in allowance now, so it's daily allowance, and then ensure that you press your F4 function key to make your reference absolute. And then from that now you do an autofill. So for daily allowance, everyone gets daily allowance, but for travel allowance, no, we're going to have to use the if function, because not everyone gets the travel allowance and the entertainment allowance, as you can see in the SBA, where it is showing you that only managers and assistant managers get allowance for traveling and entertainment. So we're going to work on that. It's an if function. It may be a bit lengthy, but please, if it is that you have an issue, you can watch and rewatch, pause and look at it again, just to ensure that you have the correct function. So the first one was done already, as you can see in the formula bar. The second one we're going to work through together. It's a quick explanation, guys. All right, so in regards to the if function, we want to say if the cell has min in it, you will calculate it so they will get the allowance. If they have am in it, then they will also get the allowance. So the formula will look a bit lengthy, but we're going to use the formula tab, and we're going to go to lookup and reference in order for us to do that. All right, so please try and follow as much as you can, and if it is that you feel a bit lost, you can always pause the video, rewatch, replay, whatever it is you want to do to ensure that you actually do the function correctly so you get the correct answer. All right, so let's go. So in this function we actually have two if statements. One to pull the information to see if the person is a manager, the category min, or to see if they are assistant manager, which is AM for that category code. So we're going to work out the second one now. So as I said before, go to the formula tab, then we go to logical, and then we select the if, because it's if function, right? Then from that now we are going to put in our logical test or statement rather, right? So we're going to check to see if E6 is equal to min. So of course the min will be in quotation, then we should actually have a comma for that, a comma. Then you refer to the key sheet. Then from the key sheet now you go to the travel allowance section, which is 7%. When you click on it, ensure you press F4 function key to make the cell absolute. Then from that now back to the employee data. As you see, the name is changing as we go along. So it is times employee data F6, which is the salary. So we're pulling from the salary information as well. Then we're going to another if function to say that if E6 is equal to AM, which is the next category, then they will also get the allowance. So of course the AM should be in double quotation, open and close quotation, very important. Then you have your comma, and after that you're going to refer to your key sheet again. You're going to press the 7%, and of course you have to lock your cell using F4 function key. So ensure that you do that, guys, please. Then you go back to your employee data and you press F6, which is the salary, right? And then you put comma 0. So basically if there are not any one of those two or fall in any one of those two categories, they will not get any allowance, right? You will know if the function is correct because you will see the results, as you can see right there. Then you press OK. So the result is 556 for that one. Press OK. So it actually worked, guys. Watch and rewatch if you actually got a bit lost, or if not, then good. So all you have to do now is autofill, so you don't have to type over that lengthy function all over again. So if you notice, only the manager and the assistant manager got travel allowance. So for the entertainment allowance, it's just the very same. Only those two categories or employees will get entertainment allowance. All right, so it's the same thing. If function, and you refer to the same category. So if E6 is equal to min, then which of course you put a comma, then you refer to your key sheet. Remember, it's entertainment allowance this time. So you click on that cell, lock your cell with the F4 function key to make it absolute so it doesn't change. And then after that, now you click on the salary, which is 8,000, that is F6. And then you go into your next function to say if the cell is equal to AM, which is assistant manager. Remember your double quotation, okay? Remember your comma. And then you refer to your key sheets and you click on 5%. Remember, it's entertainment allowance. Remember to lock your cell using the F4 function key on your keyboard. And you go back to employee data where you click on the salary, that is F6 now, and then you put comma 0 to say that if there are not in any of those categories, the result will be 0, and you'll know if it's correct when you see the results actually show up before you click OK. All right, going on good. So of course, you know, you don't have to retype the function. All you have to do is autofill, and there we go. And we are done with entertainment allowance. So only manager and assistant manager will get entertainment allowance. So we want the total allowance this time around. And remember, we're finding the total for 3 different information. So we're going to use a sum. which we utilize a range as we did in the previous section for total deduction. So you're going to highlight the range, ensure you close your bracket, very important, and then you press enter, and of course you autofill. Always remember, do not sit there and retype the function over and over again. Alright, so we are done with that. So we are now seeing the total allowance for all employees. So we're going to work out the gross income next, which is N5, which is the total allowance, plus F5, which is our salary. So we're going to work out that, so it is equal N6, which is total allowance, plus F6, going good, and then we press enter, and there we go, we have the results. And then we're going to autofill to get the results for the others as well. Alright, good. So I hope you guys are following. Remember, you can pause and replay as much as you want to ensure that you get the concept. So now we're going to do our net income, which is C5 minus J5. So we are going to type now, oh, that is O5 rather. So it's O5, which is our gross income, O5 minus J6, which is our deduction. So you're going to minus the deduction from the gross, and that's where you get their final salary. That's what they will get in their bank account when everything is deducted. All right, so now we are through with the first sheet, the employee data sheet. So that's our first one. So after this, now we're on our way, because all we have to do is just make another copy of the same sheet and then continue with our task B. Right, so we are well on our way. Right, so we're going to make a copy and we're going to call it employee data 2. So in this, we're going to make some tweaks. We're going to change the daily allowance to 13.5%. We're going to sort, and we're going to do some advanced filter. Right, so let's go into it. Alright, so we're going to make a copy of the current table that we have here. So we're going to go to where the name of the sheet is. Ensure you name your sheet, right click, copy, and then you ensure that you click create a copy, and then you'll see where the second copy appears. Well, I don't want it at the front, so I'm just going to click, hold, and drag it so it can be behind the second sheet that we have there. So there we go, we have our second employee data sheet. Right, so the next thing we're going to do, alright, so we completed objective 1. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to delete the third person, because that person resigned, they got a new job, so they're no longer at the company or the business. So we're going to delete that person. That person is Chin. Right, so we're just going to right click and delete. Please ensure that it is from the second sheet. Do not delete it from the first sheet. Alright, so please ensure you check before you do so. Alright, so after we have done that, so now we're left with 29 employees, because originally it's 30 employees. So the next thing we're going to do is change the daily allowance to 13.5%. So it is currently 12, so we want to change it to 13.5. So we type 13.5. Right, so it will round it up to 14, but we want it to stay 13.5. So we're going to just increase the decimal place so it can show the 0.5, right? It has to be exact. All right, good. So from there now, we're going on nicely. We're going to sort by category, then by last name. So it's 2 levels that we're going to be using to sort the information. So going back to the sheet, remember it is sheet 2, employee data sheet 2 that we're working with. So you highlight the entire table, ensure you have your field names in it as well. Then you go to data, the data tab, that's where you go. Then you go to sort, and then you see where it says sort by. You click category code, oh, it's category. All right, and then we add another level, and then we go on to sorting it by last name. Next, oh, pardon me guys, it's actually category code. So it's category code and last name. Then we click OK. So if you look now, you realize that it is in ascending order for all of the employees. So you see all of the admin, all of the assistant managers one place, all of the managers and sales rep at one place. So everything is now organized, right? So after that, we are going to do our advanced filter. So we only want person's name that starts with B from the sales staff. So only the person's name, that's last name, that starts with B. So we go to the data tab, click advanced. However, you realize we have an error. All right, so what we should do first is to highlight the table. Very important. Highlight the entire table, or the headings rather. Then you paste it in a cell way below the table itself. So you paste the headings, because remember we're doing filter. Then remember we said that we only want the persons that their last name starts with B, and the category code should be sales staff, so that is SS. So we're filtering based on those 2 criteria. Hear that guys? Criteria. So our criteria is B for last name, and the criteria is SS for category code. So we encountered another error, which you probably will, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to highlight the entire table now, because we're going to do the advanced filter, the entire table. All right, good. Here we go. Then we click on advanced. Then ensure that you tick the button that says copy to another location. Very important. Then we're going to highlight our criteria section, which is what we just did a while ago. Then where do we want to copy this information to? We select a cell, and then we click OK. Alright, so double check to ensure that everything is correct. So we have our table, our criteria, then the location we're going to copy it to, then click OK. And then now let's see if it worked. Alright, so we have all the sales staff with their names, last name starting with B. Alright, great. So we are well on our way, guys. Always remember to save as you go along, because you don't want to lose your information, and save it in the cloud. Yes, save it in the cloud, Google Drive and all of those things. So now we're going to move on to task C, where we're going to make another copy and make some changes. We're going to create some column charts and pie chart, and we're also going to include a pivot chart in order to help us do that as well. So right click on the second sheet, ensure that you click create a copy. So it's copy, move or copy, create a copy. and of course it ended up at the front. We don't want that, so we just drag it to the back to ensure that it is in, you know, a particular order. Organization is very important. So we have our third sheet now. All right, so in our third sheet we are going to check that the information is correct, that everything is correct, and from there we are going to create a pivot table, right? Or one pivot table, depending on how you intend to do your column chart or pie chart. So I'm going to create a pivot table, and it's pretty simple. The first thing you're going to do is just to check, you know, it's usually in the insert tab. So insert pivot table. All right. So what we're going to do now, because we want a summary, so what we're going to do, we're going to highlight the entire table starting from the field name. Good, here we go. All right, ensure you highlight everything, guys. Okay, good. And then after that we click on pivot table, so ensure that it says new worksheet. Then you click OK. Then you're just going to see a blank space with some information to your right. But here, what this information is very important, because from this you're going to select what you want to summarize from that table. So you're going to click category, because we want to see the category for the employees. We also want to see the sum for the gross income and the net income. So there we go, our full information, right? So what it did was to sum up everything that we want for each category. All right, then we're going to highlight the entire information, go to insert, and we're going to choose to insert a column chart. Here we go. All right, so there we go, we have our column chart. But with that said, let me make it a little bit bigger. All right, there we go, not too big. All right, there we go. But with that being said, we want to ensure that we label our axis, so our y-axis and our x-axis, and ensure that we have a chart title, right? So in order to do that, you're going to have to select some options, because you have to ensure that your chart is properly labeled, right? You are being marked for that. Good. So ensure that everything is labeled. So as we can see, we're on the chart. That plus sign to your right, you're going to click it. So you're going to go down to where you see axis tiles. You want to ensure that the axis tiles are there. Good. And then you want a chart title, because we want to know what this column chart is about. So we have to give it a title. All right, so I'm going to give it a title. All right, so it's comparison between gross and net income. So that is my title. Guys, you can give your title an appropriate name. It doesn't have to be what I have. And ensure you name your axis. So to your left axis, right, you have the amount that each persons get paid in whichever category, and then at the bottom you have the category. So you're just going to type category, and right there and then you would have met the requirement to get your full marks for this section. So remember, guys, if it is that you missed a step, rewind and go again. So always remember to save. You don't want anything to happen and your information is lost, right? So we have completed that. So now we're going to do a pie chart, right? So the pie chart, we want to see the percentage for each allowance. How much percent of what allowance is given. So in order to do that, we're going to have to do a simple addition using the sum function, right? So we're going to, oh, and guys, please remember to label your sheet. So this sheet should be called CC income. So ensure you label your sheets, right? Because we're looking for that. All right, so going back to what I was saying before, so we're going to do a total for each allowance in order to compare them in our pie chart. So we're going to just do a simple sum of all the allowance. So we're going to do the daily allowance first, which is equal sum, and then you highlight all the information. So starting from the top, so you highlight it coming all the way down, so it captures all the cells or the range, and you close your bracket and you press enter. And you do the very same for the entertainment allowance and the travel allowance. So we're going to need that information. There we go. And then we close our bracket, press enter, and then we do it for the second one, equal sum. All right, let's go. Yes. Close bracket, enter. There we go. So now we know the sum for all the allowance. So now we can use this information to do our pie chart, right? So we're going to copy it to a sheet, a new sheet. Copy. And there we go. So you're going to paste it there. All right, so you're seeing this information. All right, it's just that the formula is not copied over with it. So you're just going to copy the value alone. So you just use that second feature right there where it says value. So only the numbers will appear. So you're just going to label each of these accordingly. So the daily allowance, travel allowance, entertainment allowance. All right, so now we have our table to make our pie chart. So now we're going to highlight the table, go to insert, go to charts, pie chart, and of course there is our pie chart, but we don't have it properly labeled, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to change our chart title to something appropriate. Guys, remember, it has to be appropriate. It doesn't have to be what I have, but it has to be appropriate. All right, but it wants us to have each section of the pie chart to have the percentage and not just the value itself. So you're going to click on the plus sign, go to data label, and from data label you're going to click on the arrow because you want more options. Right, so you go to more options. So you don't want the figure itself, you want the percentage. So you're going to untick value and you're going to click percentage. So it changes it to percentage, right? So you're not seeing the actual amount. And then from that, we are done. And that's it, guys. We are done with Excel. So you can change the style of your chart if you so desire. You go in design and you change it, guys. So thank you for watching and all the best. If you want to watch again, as I said before, please do so. Reach out to me if it is that you're having any issues, and all the best, guys.